In today's video, we're going to be finding out what climate zones there are in GTA 5. For this, I will use the Alpine Climate zones. There's a bunch of categories and subcategories. I will use the subcategories because, to be honest, there are not that many climates in GTA 5. As you can see here, I made a little map. This one is kind of accurate, not super accurate. Some of the zones kind of fade into each other, so the blinds, don't take them as hard guides. Some of the zones can kind of fade into each other. So but it's relatively accurate. And as you can see, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish colors. The red and the orange are the deserty climates. The blue greenish is like Alpine climate. And then you have the yellow and the, slightly mustardy yellow, which are Mediterranean climates with slight variations. The first climate you will see in the background right here already is the Alpine climate. This one is quite self-explanatory and the boundaries are quite clear. An Alpine climate is, as you might know, the Alps are mountains, so it's a climate that happens on mountains. As you can see here, there are some tops which are high enough. Even Mount Golden, it's only a small area. You can see that what we saw earlier, Mount Golden, that it was green underneath. That isn't really Alpine. Alpine is, not a lot of vegetation. Maybe very sparse. As you can see here, most of it is very dry and just very sparsely vegetated. And it's relatively easy to, detect. The next one we have is, the biggest one in GTA 5. So this is quite a long section. This is the Alpine Climate Zone CSB. So CS is, C is Mediterranean climate. CSB specifically is one that's a little bit connected to high elevation. It's a bit more moist. As you can see, it's relatively lush. If you think about Mediterranean climates, these are the climates in the hills, yes. But in lower ground areas or lower elevation areas, it's a lot drier as well. But yeah, these are the areas. It makes up a large part of the map. It's mostly the underside of the mountain, like I just said about Mount Gouda. The top is Alpine, but the bottom is a lot more lush. You saw we also skipped that mountain because it's a different climate zone. We have this area here close to Mount Madrazo's house, which is quite interesting because it's very close to the desert, but it's very lush. Also, we have the Vinewood Hills, which I also classified as CSB. As you can see, there is quite a lot of vegetation. One of the things also to look out for are these spruce trees. They would pop up in Alpine maybe, but very sparsely. But here you can see spruce and also the redwood forest in Paleto Bay is very a signifier of this CSB climate. As you can see, there's a lot of areas with a lot of trees. For looking at this, I looked at the map and kind of classified it. It's quite easy to look at, a satellite image map of the GTA 5 map. You can kind of see the color of all the grass basically. And here you can also quite easily see it. It is definitely not desert. There are some areas which are a bit more, arid, deserty-like. But these areas, they have some population, tree population is the better word. These hills, I'm not sure. On the map you saw they're CSB, but on some, especially on the top, they're very sparsely, populated by trees. But here you can see there's a little bit more. You could argue that the tops have a slightly different climate, but I definitely didn't want to put them in Alpine because they're not high enough. But I also didn't want to put them with the desert because they're kind of disconnected and it is a bit weird. But you could maybe, go for a little bit more arid climate, a little bit microclimate. Then we have the Land Act Reservoir Dam, also a lot of vegetation. Also this side of the map, a lot of spruce trees. This is very much what we say, that little wetter Mediterranean climate, very much on the hills. It's funny also in this mountain, it's a bit funny, you can see on this side, it's apparently the rain side because it's a lot more lush. And on the other side you can see the contrast, and then it goes way less lush. Although it could also be due to the effect of the industry right there, because on the other side of the street it's lush again. Also this mountain kind of interesting, on some parts it's less lush, and then here you can see again way more trees. Could also be the steepness of the cliffs right there. Next up we have the CSA, which is Mediterranean hot summer. This is basically the counterpart of the more hilly CSB climate. As you can see, I classified basically the whole city. The city is just a bit flatter. Areas like Vinewood Hills could be, transition zone, or like could be CSB, CSA. But I think this is more of a CSA climate. And it's quite dry in a lot of these areas, as you can see as well. On vegetation is quite yellow. And it's the main difference it has with the CSB is just the high elevation. That's why I put this towards here. Also, most of the city, as you can see here, it's just concrete and parks, but the parks are mostly not natural and will have sprinklers or whatever. As you can see here, like a little bit more parky area, there's like a lot of dry patches. But yeah, most of the area is very much not natural. But as you can see here, Vinewood Hills is kind of in between. That's, like I said before, it's kind of a transition zone. So take this area with a grain of salt. It's also hard to judge with, especially here, mostly the buildings. Also, you can't really judge it with the trees because they're obviously in gardens. Then next up we have the B areas. So we have BWH and BSK. BSK. This is BSK, which is the less hot areas. They are very arid, so very dry. These mountains as well, like they're compared to other mountains, they're very much more dry. And also, if you look on this side, just a couple bushes, nothing compared to the area more south in the map, where there were a lot of spruce trees and stuff. And also the grasses are relatively low and not very lush. Also, if you look closer here, this is not a giant area, but it's still relatively large. It's the area around the desert. Like, I am a little spoiler, you're gonna know what the desert is. But the areas around the desert where it kind of goes into like a little grassy but still very dry grass. That is this area. It's just like a border area that kind of borders the more Mediterranean hills. As you can see, it's basically this flatter area between the hills and the desert. And the desert is, now we're going to the desert. As you can see, it's a lot drier. There's just very sparse grass and bushes somewhere. And most of it is just really, really dry. The grassy areas have brown grass, so it's not great. And then we go further on, it's just sand, and then we have, as you can see here, the brown grass and some very arid bushes. And then we have the cacti, which are a great indicator. So the cacti, great indicator. There's a lot of these here, not only here in the desert, but also further in the city as well. And we also have these other plants, which I don't know the name of, but they're quite obviously desert plants. As you can see, the vegetation here as well, relatively sparsely. And then we go into the city, which also doesn't have that much more plants. Also the cacti, yes, it has some palm trees, but those are also not very indicative of like a very wet climate always. So yeah, as you can see here, it's very dry, it's very deserty, but I think everyone knew that already. And then here we have the transition zone into like a slightly more, wet, deserty area, like a slightly less hot. Here we also have the transition zones, which is quite funny. As you can look at the difference in the grass, it's quite significant. You see some dead trees as well, and then the transition to, alive trees. There's barely like big lush trees in the desert area. And that's basically it. Alma will see it was a sea. I can't really judge it, but I think it's also probably desert or semi-desert. But yeah, these were these climate zones. It's bit hard to judge sometimes, and I'm sure someone who's more educated than me on this will have some comments on it, so please do. I'm by no means an expert, and especially judging it in GTA 5 where landscapes are very much compressed, it is a bit hard to judge sometimes. It also always not being super realistic. If you're an expert and you say, oh, wait a second, I think this area is different because this and this, please correct me. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, leave a comment if you want to correct, even leave a comment if you want to say something else. So anyways, goodbye.